guys? Jason Guyman here with ChristmasLights.io. We got Donovan over here on the other side. We got Augie in the middle. And we're going to have the great debate tonight of what is better. Should we do the lease model? Should we do the all service model? Should we sell lights? Sell lights and just sell the labor later? Or what are some things? So, obviously, Donovan and myself kind of push the service. Augie we talking before, he's done it both ways, and so that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get there, Augie is one of the OGs. He's been from way back when. He's one of like Bill Borges. Well, he's not been around as long as Bill Borges, but because I think Bill Borges has been around since who knows how long. Since the 70s or early 80s, I believe. So he's been around before they even had Christmas lights or even knew what Christmas lights was. So, but before we get too farther, Augie, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, all of that good stuff.
I am Augie Roper with Minleon USA. I represent the factory. I've been in the Christmas industry for roughly about 12 or 13 years. I started out as a regional account manager at Holidynamics. Had grown from as far as 240 installs. Learned everything there. My favorite comment that was told to me that as far as me having a job was, hey, you will always have a job as long as people still believe in Jesus and hang Christmas lights. And I couldn't argue with that, not at all. So at the end of the day, I learned through that company, and then, basically jumping on roofs after that, starting our own business. That's where my involvement with my, being on the installs, being on the sales side, from step 1 to step 10. I've enjoyed my history. I was even with Holiday Bright Lights for 3 or 4 years on the sales side of that for the Midwest. To this day, it's my goal to benefit whoever calls and provide solutions for those and the distribution channels that I have to follow.
Awesome. So what are some things that you've been in for a while, and you were talking about the sales sides and things like that. I think this is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is the sales side of things. What are some things that can help people sell Christmas lights a little bit easier?
First of all, I think it's very simple. You need to recognize that the Christmas spirit is a very powerful season. It is second to none. That being said,
weddings. Maybe weddings might be up there, but
that's an individual thing,
right?
That's an isolated situation. When you decorate a home, you might touch 12 neighbors. Consistently every day when they come home. That being said, the Christmas season almost surpasses Thanksgiving because we want to turn the Christmas lights on during Thanksgiving. We are looking at the benchmark that we want our Christmas lights up and running at Thanksgiving for the Christmas spirit, the season of, which is the season of giving. And if you can follow suit of how passionate people are about sharing in Christmas, you can follow where someone really wants to decorate their home. I mean, people want to decorate their home and forget about the troubles for 5 minutes.
Right. No, I agree 100%. So what are some things so we always talk about, selling Christmas lights as a service. Did you ever sell Christmas lights as a whole and then come back and do the labor and when you've been in business?
You're talking about being on the selling side, selling to the customer, correct?
That is correct.
100%. So when I started out, the goal was to sell the customer the Christmas lights. They own the Christmas lights. And the business model was install, removal, and storage. and they owned the lights, and you were going to manage those lights for them, and you were going to take care of them every year by checking them in the off season, make sure they worked the following year. And you get to year 4 or 5, and you want to provide the service of saying, look, hey, these light strands or these artistics aren't working quite to where they need to be. You need to replace them. That's providing the service to your customer directly. Your full service. That's them buying the lights. Now, there's still customers out there that want to buy the lights and own their lights. It's just case by case. I mean, you can honestly go both ways on leasing and selling, and it's still productive. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a relationship that you have with your customer that maintains that customer.
And so we was talking about this earlier. Of this is not basically a Christmas light service. This is a customer service business that just so happens to be installing Christmas lights. Would you agree with that one? That statement there?
I agree with the fact that this is a service industry, not a product industry. And if you have relationships, you will sell more business. If you're worried about product and product cost, you're not worried about the right direction. You will grow your business through the roof if you figure Christmas, the Christmas lighting relationships and the installation of the Christmas lights in your area. If you're building.
And you said that I seen a post today that somebody was saying about using the clips on the side of the bulb. That, man, that's going to save me money. And I'm thinking, if that 25-cent difference is going to save you money and going to make your business one way or the other, we got a problem. Would you agree with that one?
Please give me 30 seconds on this. So not everybody decorates the same. And if I decorate a house and it has gutters and peaks, that means I have gutters and shingles. We always custom fit the house the first year. So I have shingle tabs on the peaks, and I have gutter clips or all-in-one clips, whatever you're using, on the gutters. And it's custom fit. Yes, it does save you time year one, but you know what? You're rehanging that for 4 years. Raise your rates. You're making money the next 4 years, and your product costs aren't there no more.
Yeah. That's what I always say. That's what I love about people when they try to sit there and nickel and dime this stuff. And a lot of it is because they don't know how to sell at that $6-10 a foot. They're wanting to be at that $4 or $5 a foot because, that's what they've been taught or that's who they've learned from. And it's like, you can't, or the best one will be like, well, you can't get that in my market because you just don't understand.
Right.
You just don't understand my market. It's like, when I tell people, I'm in Cincinnati. I'm in probably, if you look at what people make here versus everywhere else, we're at the bottom. We're down way low in Cincinnati. And I grew it. We did over $500,000 my last year in Christmas lights. And, it was 250 installs. And, it's possible to be made. You just got to be able to sell it and not be scared to sell it at the end of the day. Like I say, our average cost of living here is, $60,000. We're trying to count our own teeth, let alone do anything else. And this is with a population of 300. Donovan's down there with a population of 1 million people. And yes, there's a lot of competition down there, but he's able to grow his business and get it to where he wants to be at.
Yeah, there's no back to what you were. I mean, there's no industry where. I mean, let me back up a second. As much as you want to, I mean, and I'm let me just say as the factory kind of the on that side of things, the factory rep on that side of things, stop beating on these these distribution points. Whether it's any company out there that is your distribution channel, yeah, you can beat them up on pricing, but I'll tell you what, you sell products one time. Your labor gets made for 4 years. Raise your labor rates. Worry about that. And your services should get paid for clearly every year.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, which I always loved. I always say that our close rate was about 20%, but our return rate was 80%. And so that's the beautiful thing about it is we know 80% of our customers are coming back. So year two is when I'm going to make our product. Let's move a little bit to the product side of things. What are some things of the products that can set one product apart from another one?
Specifically, what do you? I mean,
Hey,
where are
Jason,
we?
before we jump into product, let me ask Augie one thing. So you've been around for 15, 20 years now in the industry. What do you think? How much
15
is it the market influences the trend of either selling the lights to the client or doing a leasing package, like the state of that market? And what I mean by that is we get some people who say, there's nobody in my area installing lights professionally. And so I'm looking at that as like a brand new market. And then you get to markets that, okay, it's been around for a few years. You got 10, 15 guys in the city doing it. That's sort of where I feel like Raleigh's at right now. A lot of the Southeast is kind of in that right now. And then you go to places like DFW, you go out west in Utah, Salt Lake City, where it seems like every house has, on every street has professional grade lights. So how much do you think that where the market at influences how you're going to be able to sell the job to the client?
You mean are you talking about the difference between purchase or lease?
Right. Because we got some people who say, like, I've heard this from really big companies, and they say out west, and they're like, I couldn't even offer them a leasing package because everybody, the way that they're doing it right now in this market is they sell the lights to the client and then they do labor. How accurate do you find that with like the more established markets? Do you see that? Have you seen that as a trend, or do you really think it's up to like the individual business?
I'm not. I mean, I don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but I
Right,
will
right.
say that I'm not influenced by anyone on building a relationship with a homeowner or commercial property. And if I'm selling to someone and I've chosen a path, whether I'm selling or leasing, it's my relationship with that person that they're going to follow because they believe in me. And usually 90% of the time, you came recommended to put those lights up by someone else. They called you. You've built a relationship in the community, or you're building a relationship in the community. And when you approach that doorstep, they're excited to get lights. And if you have a preference, it's your passion that comes out of your posturing, your verbiage, your eye contact, and you will influence that person to go whatever direction you're comfortable with. Don't let the market influence you of what everybody's doing around you. If you prefer selling, sell. I mean, if you prefer leasing, lease. And there's combinations of both. I mean, it's just a matter of how you draw it up. I mean, I've got leasing packages where, over a 4-year period, they drop, $50 a year. And at the end of the 4 years, the lights have diminished in depreciation. And at the end of 4 years, they're paying less. But you know what? I've never reduced my price on any package because it's my labor still putting them up.
So, but I mean, you're saying 4 years. I thought Minleon bulbs would last me forever.
So now let's get into the product side of things. Now
We have we have a good product. It's been out there, and there's a lot of distribution points out there, channels. A buddy of mine, Wayne, has said that the only year we had a problem with your bulbs was when we had a green batch that didn't go well. You know what? That's before my time.
I remember that.
we
I
all
was
know
on
about
a
that
batch
green
where
batch.
blues, they would just pop off. The blues would just pop off when you were screwing the stupid thing on.
So it's a consistency. Not only do your customers want consistency out of you guys, both of you, you want consistency out of the product that you're carrying. It's that simple. I mean, you guys are paving the way here.
And the thing too is, it isn't like the old incandescents when you pulled them down that you knew you were going to pop 10 of them as they were falling off of the house.
Yeah. Show me a guy that is putting up incandescents, and I'll show you a guy that's stubborn.
Yeah, there's not too many people out there anymore that put up. Now, Fred puts up quite a bit because he's doing all these Hollywood movies and Hallmark movies.
don't get me wrong. Incandescents have a great look. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of power. I mean, I've always said this to anybody I've ever trained installing on a house. You learn how to run power, you'll never have a problem installing.
Right. And talking about the LED versus incandescent, will we ever become close to the look of an incandescent? I know we've kind of gotten there, but is about as close as we got, or is there things that might come down the line that could
You
get
know,
more?
I know there's a couple of products out there. There's the filament bulb. That's been a great looking bulb. I'm not, I mean, I mean, I'm not gonna, pick a side or anything like that, but that's a great looking bulb. From the street driving by, there are some products out now that I've seen from other companies that are starting to mimic that. But that is a good look. The incandescent look was always a good look. I would challenge you guys. Do you know what C9 stands for, or what the C stands for in C9?
What does the C stand for in C9?
Candle.
And what's
Right?
the 9 stand for 9 candlewatt? Or
I have no idea. I knew the candle part.
I didn't even
Thought
know
I'd
that
have
part.
fun with being stupid for a second.
So when I had this question today. Somebody came to me, came to our site to buy some product, and he was like, I have a quote for SMD lights, but I like the Minleon lights. Do they look the same? And so essentially, he didn't understand the terminology with the bulb. So let's go through real quick, like the terminology, and then I want you to chime in about some things that Minleon has done or is doing to like focus on the quality side of things. So we have usually incandescent, and those have a glass shell because they get so hot that it'll melt plastic. So
Correct.
your incandescent lights were sort of like the old technology, and those are the bulbs that get really hot. And like I said, those come in glass, and then you have different sizes. So you have like the 5 millimeters, the little tiny ones. Those are not those aren't incandescent. Those are mini lights or whatever. You have C7 and C9. So with incandescent lights, you had to have a larger bulb for more light, for more of a brightness.
For the filament.
Yeah, because you want a larger filament in there, putting off more lumen, a bigger light. So you have different size bulbs. And then you move to an LED bulb, which they had diodes. And that was like 2000, 2007, somewhere in there?
2010
technology?
or 11.
So SMD technology has actually been around for several decades, and that might be too long. They abandoned the SMD technology, the standalone. They abandoned that and went to like your 5 diodes and this,
Right.
And then in 8 years ago they came back with SMD time and improved it and came back with it. So SMD technology has been around for a long time. And I've learned that with past teams I've been a part.
What does SMD stand for?
Standalone. What is that?
Surface mounted diode.
Surface mounted diode. There we go. Sorry, dry lemonade. I apologize.
No, that's fine, because I want to keep making sure that when we use acronyms, a lot of times people don't understand what that is. So if I break it down, that's the only reason why I'm saying that for.
100%. Let's get it right. It's not about being right. Let's get it right for them.
So the SMD that's what is the surface mounted diode is on there, which is a diode is a one-way check valve if you're thinking about it as in electric, and a light emitting diode is what an LED stands for. So go ahead.
So Wonderful, I believe, carries one surface mounted diode. Minleon has 3 in their bulbs.
Yep.
So that's the difference. Have I been told that one's brighter than the other one? I have been. Do I hold my am I gonna stand on and hold my trophy up and say we're brighter? It's not. Again, it comes back to what product are you going to stand by, and what are you selling to your customer, and the customer believes in your passion.
Yep.
Now,
As an installer.
so Minleon, though, they have their own factory, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys are essentially, completing the entire chain. You're designing, you're manufacturing, importing, and then going to guys like us, Christmas light contractors who are supplying it directly to the installers. So you guys are essentially completing the entire chain all in-house. Do other brand? I mean, we're not throwing anybody off the bus, but do other brands do that?
So here's Jason. Here's where I had that fun story I was telling you about earlier. So when I was on the market and I got approached to come aboard with Minleon, we worked through the preliminaries and there was an orientation. And on the second day of the orientation of who's who, what the procedures are, how the operations were going to go, and the names and the positions, what position I was going to fill. We're almost done, and my boss was walking across the room, and he's like, "I'm going to get a cup of coffee," and I'm like, "Sure," and we're tired. It's 2 days of just talk, expectations and what do we want to accomplish together. And he says, "Do you have any questions for me?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "What's that?" And he's walking sideways, and he says, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Do you make clips and socket wire?" And he goes, "We can." And I said, "So that's a that's a no.
Yeah.
That's no." And he goes, "What do you mean no?" And I said, "So you're telling me for 15 years you've sold the nation's leading quality bulb, and 2 other factories made socket wire. One factory made socket wire, another factory made clip." And I said, for 15 years, you've shared every 12 inches or 15 inches, whatever the spacing of the socket wire was, you've shared that space on every single home and commercial property with 2 other factories." Because I didn't think of it that way. And I'm like, well, let's change some things. Let's become a one-stop shop. Let's start providing things that all these guys need out there on a daily basis that are stopping at the hardware stores. Let's give them everything they need, and not to toot a horn. It's not here this year, but, hot melt glue sticks, we'll have that next year. Zip ties, we'll have that next year. There's a couple other things I want to get into, but I can't quite say yes.
Not cart before the horse. Yeah.
That's right.
But it's nice to have a product line that's designed to work together.
What's that?
I said it's nice to have a product line that's specifically designed to work together.
So when you look at the V2 Plus circle clip, which is not last year's clip, it's this year's clip, that hit here, that we actually had something in hand. I think it was in April 5th, somewhere in there, as approved going forward. That being said, that clip is made to go to our socket wire and our bulb. It's all to go together as a unity. Admiral, I used Admiral my whole life. No qualms about it, no problems. But when you have a factory making the Minleon socket wire and they see how that reacts to the clip holding the bulb, it's just a better fit. It's made to be together, and if there's problems, we'll make the adjustments the fastest. This year, all our socket wire no longer has a clip on the side of the socket. We've removed all of that. It's making little improvements in hearing your cry. Our position, our job is product development.
Yeah. You're going to have some pissed off people about the no clip on the side there.
I don't sell to everybody. Everybody I know asked for it. I'm sorry if you're mad. I'll find a clip.
No, I know there's people that I was just actually talking about it. And that's why I was laughing about it. So
Why didn't I?
There's some guys up north with a lot of snow that clip onto metal wrapped or vinyl wrapped fascia or something like that. They use that factory clip, but it breaks, right? It breaks right off after using it. So it's not a permanent, it's not a permanent fix anyways. All those guys that I know have another clip to, go on the bulb as well.
I'll say that the clip on the side of the socket wasn't made to last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't. The last thing I want to do is know that I've changed someone's business model or cost them money.
So we're getting to some questions. We'll get into these questions here shortly. But what if you were starting new a Christmas light business? What are some things that you would look at and do to make sure that you are successful when you're done?
When you're done, meaning,
or like just at the end of the season, that you've had a successful season and you're going to, in the 5-year plan, you're going to be successful versus a business that's struggling and can't do nothing.
You're saying you're trying to repeat and grow?
Yes.
I would take an inventory. I would focus on, what you have to look at it from a sales point of view. What are your expectations to grow? What is your national average for growing? The national average for growing the last, 10 years was 25 to 35 accounts. The last 2 years, it's anywhere from 35 to 65 accounts. The passion of a Christmas lighting has grown tremendously. So number one, know what your sales goal is and invest in your sales goal. I mean, no one's going to hurt your business more than you if you don't have the product to go after those customers on your own. If you're dependent on someone else, and obviously this year I can say this openly, and your product's stuck in a port, you're the one that doesn't have the product. So invest in yourself.
What do you mean by invest in yourself? Go a little bit deeper into that.
Pre-order.
And so invest in yourself. So you're saying to pre-order, go ahead and have stock up there and everything like that. So you're ready to sell when those customers are coming in.
With whatever distribution channel that you're working with, put in a pre-order that gets you product, because when you do that, you help your distribution channel supply themselves to help new people that didn't come in. Let me go this route. Let's say, Jason, that I've never worked with you before, and you called me up and said, "Hey, I've got this business. I want to start a business this next year. I've bought into a business. I've got 35 homes. I plan on adding 35 homes. I'm really aggressive. This is my plan for the year." My suggestion to you was let's evaluate what you think you're going to need, what you're going to sell. And the reason you get those products early is because your distribution channel that you're working with has that for you accounted for.
Yep.
Trust me, these distribution channels, whether it's Christmas light contractors or anyone else, is always subject to last minute purchases, and it drains their warehouse. Now, we want people to pre-order and be aggressive, own your business, be accountable. I mean, it's your business that you come home for.
So a question here is, how much stock would be a pre-order for our first season starting from scratch? And his other question right above that is, what is a good sales goal for a first season?
If we're talking 20 to 35 homes, 20 to 30 homes, 25 to 35 homes, I don't want to put somebody, I would say anywhere on your warm white, I would say you want 4,000 or 5,000 warm white. You want 5 reels to go with that. Choose whether you want to go 12-inch spacing, 15-inch spacing. I'm a 12-inch spacing guy. If I'm going to light your home, I'm going to light your home.
But I can save money if I go 15 inches, right?
You can.
And I do save money. And you can't see it from the ground. And guess what? All 3 of us have run successful businesses different ways.
There's no argument.
I knew that would poke a fire over there on the other side.
You know what, Donovan? Just to match you, I'm going to mess up my hair and stand there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, here's
So
that.
there we go. It can't stand up as tall as yours. Anyways, but nobody knows the difference.
Right.
Nice. But nobody knows the difference. You're right. 15-inch spacing versus 12-inch spacing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the truth is yes, I might be putting 5 more bulbs on someone's house. It's a decorator thing. It's a personal choice. Your business is, and your passion is why you're successful. Continue that way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So 5,000 feet, and everything to go with it, and that should get you 20 houses. And what Jason and I preach is go sell the jobs, collect a 50% deposit, right? And then once you've sold that 5,000 feet, then buy more. Call me and say, hey, I need another 5,000 feet, and you got the 50% deposit to pay for it.
Yep.
I'm gonna back up here. I'm gonna say that at the end of the day, you should probably invest in about 10,000 feet. And the reason for is if you're really getting into this business, be prepared for it. 5,000 on the warm white, 2,000 on your multicolor, 1,000 on your red, 500 green, 500 blue. You break it down. That's your national averages roughly. They vary from, they do vary from, different places in the United States, and then get your socket wire to match that. This idea doesn't just apply to pre-order. This also applies to when you're loading your truck during the season. When you have your truck loaded during the season, you should have an extra 1,000 Sunwarm white. You should have a case of multicolor or a little bit of red or a little bit of blue. Not everything. I'm not saying go balls out. I'm saying that you should have something in your truck, because when you're doing someone's house and a neighbor says, hey, can you do mine quick? And it's 175 feet or 125 feet, it's going to take you an hour and a half to do that next house, and it's bam, $500. Yeah. Have it in your truck. Have it ready to go. Have your trucks loaded for an extra sale each day. That's on the ground level. You should always be ready to upsell. And your crew installers. I have a favorite guy down south that used to call it a bump. And if your crews came across a house that said, hey, can you do my house quick? And they did their house quick, they would get a certain percentage of the sale. Why? Because they brought you an extra customer for the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
What did you pay your employees? How have you paid your employees? Have you paid percentage wise? Have you done hourly? Have you done both? Which one you like better? That kind of thing.
Hourly, and I'll tell you, it was anywhere from a moderate installer was $14, $12 an hour to start, and now we're going back 6 or 8 years. Anymore, you're probably looking at a crew lead for $22 an hour or $18 an hour, depending on what you really need. I mean, if you really need a guy, you're probably paying $22 an hour to make sure he's going to do a good job. But at the end of the day, I like the idea. I heard this recently. You're catching me in the middle of changing my view on it. I heard recently, I was at a convention with one of the big groups out there, and I really like the idea of incentive. You're getting a percentage of each job. And I'm going to give you 2 or 3 points that make sense. If you have, and I'm not relaying this to anything that I have or anything that's going on, but let's say you have a $600 house. It's a rehang, and your chief installer gets 20% of that, which, all right, so he's going to get 20% of that job. He's got 2 guys with him. They get that job done in an hour and a half. It's 175 feet.
Yeah.
What's that?
$120.
All right. So they can do that job within an hour and a half. And let's say they can get another 6 jobs done during the day. I mean, you start just doing the quick math. Your crew installer, your chief installer can make bank. Now, it's on him to do the fix-its if he didn't do it right. It's also on him if he has a guy that sucks. That means he may cut that guy loose. He may come back to you at the end of the day and go, I need 5 minutes from you, boss. This guy is slow. He doesn't care. I want him off my crew. We could have done 2 more houses for you today. That makes him more money. That makes you more money. And he's accountable to not do fixes to get it done right the first time. I like the incentive, the percentage pay. Hourly, you're always going to have people show up, and the more I talk about this, the more I'm going to like it because, when you have hourly people, they always come in and they want to stop at Quick Shop or they want to go to the bathroom or there's always a little bit of something. If you put it on, you're getting paid by you're going to pay your chief installer by the percentage. You're going to pay his employees by the hour, but the chief installer is going to manage everything for you. He doesn't want to get 2 houses done. He wants to get 6 houses done. He may even want to stay late and want to fire somebody off his crew because somebody else didn't want to stay late. Now, I don't agree with that. You still want good team camaraderie.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's case by case at that point. But I think if you take your crew chief, your crew lead, and he's based on percentages of homes done, and he's accountable for the result. I think you ultimately your company will evolve into a more efficient and structured team.
That's a good point. I just talked to Jason Murphy. He's thinking about splitting it, and his average ticket's $1,800. So if your average ticket's $1,800, and he's actually thinking doing, either 18 or 20, because you also got to remember takedown too. So you got to put that in that cost too. So he was thinking, maybe do 15% split the crew and then 7 taken down or something like that, because you don't need the whole crew to take down. But I think that is definitely something about that percentage wise is nice, because then you know what your cost is at the end of the day. If you do hourly, you have no clue what your cost is. And if you got a slug, you may not know who that slug is that's keeping you down, and you don't know what your cost is, because they're getting paid by the hour, so they'll work all the hours they want at the end of the day. But that's just some things there that I know some people that are talking about it.
Yeah,
I think Augie made a real good point when he said, starting out a business, what do? You say you look at the data, right? And so a lot of this, if it's your very first year getting started in business, what you got to do is you got to get as much information as you can, and then you just need to take action, right? You need to do something, but you don't just do it blindly. You track everything. You got to have time and motion studies. How long does it take you to put up 100 feet of lights, right? How long does it take you to do it from the roof? How long does it take you to do it from the ladder? Are people breaking rules? Or maybe that 100 feet, maybe what happens is the trucks weren't prepared properly. So it took 3 times as long as what it should have because somebody had to drive back to the shop and get something. So these are all in the professional setting, it's called time and motion studies. How long should it take you to put up 100 feet? And so if you're going and that house is 200-300 feet, you can break it down into difficulty, however you want to do it, but you need to have a baseline. When you're very first starting out, you take the advice. Augie just told you, start somebody at, $14-15 an hour. A lead installer, start them at $20 an hour. And you start that now and you interview people. That gives you a baseline. And if you're not getting the right quality or somebody's too slow or whatever, then you can adjust it from there. But you just got to take action.
So let's curb that for a second. I know that there are companies, and this is 6 years ago. I know there are companies that there are markets. Now, we feel like we all know that the United States is roughly on the same page. I know there are markets south of Omaha, by a couple hours. I'll call it Kansas City, where the market is, I don't know how it got so wayward, but it started, and now it's come up a little bit, but 6 years ago, 5 years ago, $2.50 a foot to install, take down for free, storage for free.
But I
I mean,
also understand that because I know there's some large guys out there that charges go for quantity versus quality, and they go for that cheap stuff. But the only people that I've known that haven't been able to compete in a market is a market that doesn't have lights at all. Like we taught a guy from Myrtle Beach last year, and there's not a lot of light installs down there, and he struggled with it. But if there's people that have it, because it's just like pressure washing at the end of the day. The $99 guy, they're a dime a dozen, but most of the $99 guy goes out of business, and so that's some things that you got to look at, and that's why when you come to our class of Donovan and I teach premium. I don't teach the $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 a foot. I teach the $6 to $10 a foot. Why? Because I know that that's where the profit is. And again, profit is not a bad word. A lot of people think profit is a bad word, and profit is not a bad word. We was talking about this in the beginning of, well, how do you grow a business? Well, you got to read the book E-Myth, which is a great book. If you haven't read it, go read E-Myth.
E-Myth is an excellent book.
And why do you think it's an excellent book for?
Why?
Yeah.
Because E stands for, well, first of all, it says E-Myth. And E stands for entrepreneur myth, meaning it's the entrepreneurial myth, meaning everybody that works for somebody thinks that they can do their boss's job. I can tell you right now, whether it's logistics of inventory, whether it's insurance, whether it's the day-to-days, lawyers, everything it takes for a boss, an owner to structure everything, an entrepreneur hasn't gone and taken through those steps. Now, I'm not here to discourage anybody to start their own business. But I will say this. I was asked a very interesting question that would apply to everybody that would be watching this. And I was sitting my wife and I were sitting at a local, just needed a happy hour. It was a couple weeks ago. And the guy sitting next to me was a business evaluation. That was his job. And he looked at me and he says, "So what you've done in the last year and a half, what's your exit plan?" And I said, "To be successful." And he goes, "What's your exit plan?" I go, "To retire someday and have a number, and I'm going to push as hard as I can to get there." He goes, "Why don't we refine that? Why don't we refine a term for you and your business?" And I think this applies to everyone. He said, "Why don't you understand that you should today, as you started your business 18 months ago, your mindset should be that this business runs without you." And he says, meaning you need to start thinking of the pieces in the team that you have that you need to run this business. And you need to start thinking of how this business can run without you, even though you'll manage it. That's fine. But he said, let me give you the punchline. If your business runs without you and you can govern it, and it runs by itself, but you help everybody through the bumps in the road, it's worth 6 times versus 1 times with you still involved in it. Because if it runs itself, it's worth 6 times its value versus you directly involved. Think about that. If you have a business that's worth $400,000 or $250,000 and it runs by itself, and you manage and you support every position in your own business, and you're just there and it runs, and somebody says, "I want to buy your business," it's worth 6 times the $250,000 because you can sell it to them and it still runs.
Yeah.
Don just put
That's
on
an
here.
exit. That's an exit plan starting day one. When you
Don
start your
just put on here that systems lead to independence, and independence leads to your exit strategy. Great stuff. So growth comes from developing systems. And the thing of it is, everybody has systems. It's just whether your system is a good system at the end of the day. That's the
Well, and I agree with that, Jason. But I will support that most systems are good when people know their own first five steps
right.
and donuts, and people know that they have donuts ready.
And people know that Donovan will stuff his face
Shame on you.
live so I can get some more hate on my stuff. So, where is a good place to buy Christmas lights?
To be very clear, I am a full advocate of the distribution channels that are out there, and we need to use them. And I'm here to support all the distribution channels that I have to be responsible for. It's a very hard and long journey when I've got somebody that wants 5,000 bulbs or 10,000 bulbs, and they think they need to go direct. You haven't made an investment in your business that allows you to go direct yet. I take those phone calls daily, and I try to be nice about them. If I haven't been nice about them, I'm sorry publicly. But you're not ready to go direct if you're buying 20,000 bulbs.
All right. So if what I'm going to tell you here is you can go to christmaslights.io, and on there's a link to buy lights. We'll take you to christmaslightcontractors.usa.com, whatever. It will also send you, if you want to learn how to do Christmas lights, we're actually having a training. Me and Donovan and I are having a training this week in Raleigh, North Carolina. I know that some people on here were asking about pricing and how to do it and all of those. This is a hands-on class. It is a 2-day class. Donovan's got the eek space. I don't know what that's all about, but but again, this is something that we do, and it is something that is an all-inclusive course. It teaches you everything you need to know to start and grow your business. It even will, if you buy the Christmas light one, it will actually give you $250, and you will actually get Minleon bulbs, because that's enough to get the starter pack from them. So that is definitely something.
I think Donovan's ghost.
I think he froze on it. Yep, he just left us. So so here he comes back. I guess his donut must have got stuck in his teeth or something, and so he froze on us. But again, you can go check out christmaslights.io. There we give you everything you need to be successful on this 2 days. It's Saturday, Sunday. If you have employees and you just want to send your employees, we have an employee day also.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about. My face was stuck like.
The donut did not taste like a cheeseburger.
Oh no! Did it just happen again? All right. I'm yeah, sugar. I'm pretty excited about the employee only day for a couple of reasons. I think that, especially maybe some local business, I'm all about supporting local business. I don't look at the people around me as my competition. I really look at them as like a network of people that when one of us is shy on something, we can kind of help each other out. And I also feel like the more people we have installing professional grade lights, that really builds up the market. And the more education that we can give on doing high quality installs at a premium price, the better it is for everybody. So this particular class and the one in October, we're going to do an employee only day. So it's the Sunday, it's this upcoming Sunday. And then I believe it's going to be the first day in October. So that's like the 8th or something. So the Friday in October, but this one in September is going to be the Sunday. Literally, we're not talking about quoting. We're not talking about pricing. We're not talking, a whole lot about quality of materials or anything like that. It's literally all the hands-on, and you're going to get a little bit of safety that's like roof safety and some basic stuff. And then people who are sending their employees like from out of town and stuff like that, we're actually going to have these different stations set up. We're going to have a wreath station, a tree station, bushes, roof line, safety, all these different things. And then they're going to get a grade at each of those stations. So when you go back to your boss or whatever, you can look at, all right, this guy was really, really, really good on a roof. This guy was really, really, really good, with the wreaths and greenery. So you'll know like how to optimize your crews and where the people need work and where you can kind of focus. So hopefully it goes real well. It's going to be the first time I was doing it like this, but I'm pretty excited, and I think it's going to be something that's really going to blow up in the future.
Go ahead.
Sir. I want to say that nationwide, we are a community, whether we like it or not. Donovan, I really appreciate what you said about, as we come together as a Minleon family, and we work together and we have distribution in different areas. Trust me, we're all going to need something at some point. And if we work together and we have it, we need bailed out, and we need to, it comes down to not what we are at this level or Donovan's level. We recently had a conversation about another gentleman, you and I did, Donovan, that can support each other, in a time of need. And I've got 15 other people nationwide, and at some point, different areas run out of different things at different times. It's about working together and making sure those homes get decorated.
Absolutely.
Yep, because it might be that last person's here on earth that you decorate that can be something special, that it is something that you could never replace that. And, sometimes I know we look at it a lot of times as the money thing, but, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that, I always say, I know you got the COVID word and all that kind of stuff, but people die every day. This is one of those things that, I've done several charity things for little kids that have never, that they're not here no more. That was their last Christmas. And, that special time with their family is something that you can never give. There is no dollar amount out there that could make you that satisfied at the end of the day. I don't care what you do. To see that last Christmas with their parents, to see that their face of, joy of just the night. So
my first season in Christmas ever, I was a Budweiser guy my whole life. I delivered beer. I thought that's what I was going to do. We got into Christmas. I bought my first laptop. I'd never take typing. I didn't know how to type. And my first season, I had a crew get behind, and we had 6 crews plus a commercial property crew. This is at Holodynamics. I don't mind giving them props. Scott Hazy, Eric Turkelson, they're good guys over there. And at the end of the day, a crew called me and said, we're behind, and we got one simple house left to do, and it's got, artistics on it. I have to get home, hey boss, and I said, that house has got to be done today. We're so packed right now. And they're like, well, I said, I tell you what, I got jeans in my office. I'll put jeans on. I'll meet you out there. And then we'll get you to a point where we just get it hung. I'll plug everything in. I'll whatever. We ended up doing very well and finishing up in a timely fashion. The lady came home, and she got out of the car, and she looked up at the home, and everything was on. And the way we left everything prior Thanksgiving was plug everything in, plug the timer in, and then unplug it. So all she has to do is plug it into the timer, and she's ready on Thanksgiving. We don't have to come back. The lights were on. She come out, and she stood there, which seemed like forever, and didn't speak. And she turned around and said, my husband's not with me anymore. This is all we had. And this is what everything means to me. And, you have no idea. And she said, you have no idea what you gave me today. Yeah. I felt punched in the stomach, and it was all I wanted to do was to give more. So you will run into someone that has lost a job, lost their family member, has nothing else left, and has no job, has no future, and that's all they've got. I can't tell you what the Christmas spirit does to people. And if you want to be charged, let it in.
Yep.
Just let it in. Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna answer.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get all mushy on you.
Oh, I know. I've done.
That woman crushed me.
I've done several. We used to do at least 1 to 2 free every year, and it was usually a kid that was dying, or their dad had just passed, or something like that. So,
yeah, we had a lady last year where 2 of her friends were already clients, and she had cancer, and so her 2 friends pitched in, and they each put in $600 where, so they paid us $1,200. We went out there, and then we donated another $1,500 worth of lights. So we put up $3,000 worth of lights at her house, and as it turns out, it was her last Christmas. So the mom and the kids, everybody got there. It's like two of her friends came together who appreciated lights on our house, who paid for her, and she was in the middle of chemo and everything else. And I mean, this year, the friends want to do something again, but for the family, as now it's sort of going to be like a remembrance type thing. So it's it gets to you. It gets to you. And I'll tell you this, I've never had that experience cleaning gutters, right? You probably didn't have that experience selling beer. Somebody wasn't so moved. Well, maybe some drunk guys, I don't know, were so moved by a case of beer. No, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with power washing. Somebody isn't so, you're not really making a difference. You're just providing a service. So that's what really, really, really drew me into, the Christmas light industry, is that you're actually making a difference in people's lives. So it's all warm and gooey.
Hey, God bless you all. That's
yep.
I'm going to ask one last question here. Actually, I'm going to ask 2, but this one here, because this is a good question here that I'm going to ask from H2 Improvements. What's the best way to store lights, being that you are the manufacturer of lights? So,
what we did in the past, I mean, I know a lot of people use your tubs, your plastic tubs. We special ordered a lot of things off of Uline, 13 inches by 16 inches, 16 inches wide, 13 inches tall, 48 inches long. You can get cardboard boxes. Now, I know a lot of people go different ways. It doesn't matter what you find to store those lights, but you want those lights stored for each individual, and labeled to them. Uline has some great boxes. At the end of the year, or every now and then, Walmart will have tubs for sale. I highly recommend. I mean, how you store C9s and lights, light sets, that doesn't matter nearly as much, and you're going to get a very passionate moment out of me. If you don't hang your wreaths and your garland, and you put garland and wreaths in a tight spot, or you put garland in boxes and you mash it down, I'm going to tell you right now, the less you fluff your garland, the less you fluff your wreaths, the better off you are for a long-term investment that's going to make you money.
So you're telling me you're a good fluffer, huh?
He doesn't like fluffing. That's what he's saying. Fluff them once.
I do have a comeback. I don't sell foliage. And I'm telling you how to save money long term. The one thing that'll cost you money is a 5-year foliage wreath, or that you didn't. If you hang, I mean, everybody's got a warehouse or something. There are hooks that you can get that hang that wreath from the ceiling. Get it out of the way. You don't want a forklift running over it. You don't want trucks running into it. You don't want to smash it down in a box. Wreaths and foliage or bows should be just out of the way and up. And the less you compact it, the better off you are. That had nothing to do with Minleon.
All right, I got one last thing here. I'm going to hit
for your lights. Keep the moisture away from them. So don't. If you are going to use plastic bins, make sure they're 100% dry before you lock them in the bin.
So Zimmerman,
If you're
Zimmerman
contained
Roof,
down by the river, get away from the
Zimmerman
water.
Roofing and Contractors just put, we do a few houses free for every year. Time permit, often tear jerkers. They like to do a lot at discounted prices too, but I'm just got to pull on his chain a little bit. Just got to pull on it a little bit. All right, I'm not going to keep everybody on. I'm not going to keep Augie on here forever, but Augie, obviously, like I said, we have training. Go check out ChristmasLights.io. There, I have the links down there. I have the link of the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, I know we got 11 people watching on the Facebook group. You can go check it out. It's also in the description too, down in the bottom there. But Augie, what are some words of encouragement for people starting out or trying to grow their Christmas light business?
Embrace the Christmas spirit. That's what binds all this together. I mean, you can have all the business you want. You can have all the light bulbs you want. You can have all the money to back your business. Embrace what this was for. Go to market with, hey, let's celebrate Christmas. Walk up to your first home and, how do you want to? I mean, if someone called you and said, hey, I want to decorate my home. It's very easy to say, you're right. Let's decorate your home. How do you want to decorate your home? Let's embrace Christmas and say that to your customer. And then say, what have you seen that you like? And start working a mold from there. It's not always perfect. And, not only, maybe not always do the customer have all the money to decorate the first year. Maybe you can say, look, this is going to be quite a bill. You want the Griswolds. Well, maybe we can't do Griswolds this year. Maybe you don't have a budget for that. So let's do it in stages. Let's do this and then help them do this. Let's do this much this year, this much next year, and this much the year after. You know what? Maybe they don't do year 2 and 3, but they got started first year with you. They got on your instructors.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see a bunch of you on this weekend. I think there's about 20 or 25 people. So there
absolutely.
is only
Tips and tricks. I've got some things in my pocket that help, and I will support always. The Christmas the installation part. I mean, I'm an installer by trade. So
awesome. So see you all this week. We have a couple spots. We're not going to go too many deep, but go check that out, ChristmasLights.io, and we'll see you this weekend.
God bless.
Hang on, Augie. Let me get rid of all this.